But I've just give you a little bit of background where I'm set up here. I've been 45 years, and for some reason, there we go. And I've got it at 45 years and second generation laboratory guy. My father owner, I was a lab owner. I moved away from the laboratory business and into manufacturing. I got into sales. I got into aspects and have always been there. Recently, I had been involved with Glidewell Dental Laboratories, and they called IDS. I was brought in to work with them on the creation and regulatory launch of their implant systems and their inclusive product line. With the Han system, that's where I really got a lot of experience with the regulatory. I was working for a company called IDS, and there like a number of implant systems to put them through a 510(k) submission. Spent a lot of time with the FDA, and there that's where I learned what the FDA's intentions were to move forward with automated manufacturing, with additive and subtractive manufacturing, and what they intended to do as far as the additives. And it's been since, and that was back in 2017. I got a sound check, so bear with me, please. No sound. So I'm going to go ahead. I thought you were asking me a question already. Okay. Awesome. Oh. That's okay. So let me go back to this. So dazed and confused. I've done this presentation a couple times. I did it at LMT, but where the title comes from really is my interaction with dentals. And the reason for that is because I'm speaking with them. The guys are just dazed. I mean, they really are. One is that they're dazed as to why the FDA is even dealing in our business. We've been without them for so long that there was no interaction from side with the FDA. Confused really comes from a lot of our interaction with other manufacturers, with other consultants, and there's so much misinformation out there. So when you're out in the market and you're talking with a sales rep or you're talking with somebody, you're getting really contrary information. So I'm going to try to move forward and clear that up. Okay. Still no sound, Kat. Okay, that's okay. Later I will need for certain. Okay. One of the most important things for me, and a lot of these guys, speak with anybody at FDA, they'd say the same thing. I don't understand it. It's just too confusing. So today my goal is listen to, is like if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So my intent is really to come through as clear as I possibly can to give information as you need to really leave here with a tremendous amount of information. Because you should show quotes back to back, but it's important they build together. Because this is so important, and in a time of turbulence and change, it is more true than ever that knowledge is power. Many of the dental laboratory technicians and laboratory owners and dental department managers I speak with are not moving forward with making decisions regarding the enhancements or additional technologies or services within their laboratory because they're fearful of FDA. Right? So I want to give enough information. I want to give you knowledge so that you have power to move forward and make decisions that really positively impact your dental laboratory. And if those decisions are truly engage FDA, you have the understanding of what to be done to satisfy the FDA. Your business for be compliant, all right? So this is a dry time. I'm usually not invited parties because a regulatory guy is not much fun, but what I'm more interested today is some of the things that are going to help you to move forward, get you to develop and grow your, all right? So let's go through a quick breakdown of what you can do under the FDA establishment registration. And that's what we have been living on since the 1970s. And we're going to talk about this a lot because it's really important. This is the document that in the FDA, we're going to talk about it. It's you get enough numbers from me later. This is what keeps the FDA laboratory, this exemption, okay? And we're going to talk about it right here. So the FDA establishment registration exemption is section 807.5, which exempts device establishments. So that's what you are under the FDA's definition. You are a medical device manufacturer, right? So, and this is paragraph I that we're talking about, and this exempts the dental laboratory registering with the FDA. Okay, back to 1970, this part of our actions with the FDA, or thereof, more importantly. Welcome. Okay, good. Okay, so going back to 2017 when I started my business working with the FDA, that's when it came forward to of what they were about when a dental laboratory falls out from under this exemption and has to have some interaction with the laboratory. So to me, it's really important that you have a clear understanding of what that is not. Okay. Oh, that's okay. No problem.
Yeah. I think he needs to take that off.
Yes. Excuse me for a moment.
Right up there.
I just need to get out of the presentation.
Get out of the presentation.
Yes.
Here. Up there.
There you go. Okay.
Too many chiefs.
What we're going to talk about is my interactions with the FDA. It doesn't matter what my opinion is, what my interpretation of what the FDA is doing. That really doesn't matter. What matters is what the FDA itself does. The information that we're going to get, that I get from the FDA, I'm going to share with you. So you say, well, I heard Tim, because that's actually no. Can we get a little? Thank you.
For so long, it's not new.
Okay, so anyway, this is so going back to diffused. I want to just a couple of things that you understand what well. Figure out the FDA. They're a federal government agency. You'll never figure them out. Understand them better. So and we've worked again. I always say we because I was a dental laboratory. I was a laboratory owner, so I kind of throw myself in a group, whether you like it or not. But this particular case, a milled or puncture, or you can mill it from. It can be printed, whatever. There's a lot of technologies available, and laboratories are not doing this because they fear the FDA. And in reality, there's no FDA required. Zero. Okay. And what makes the difference is the multi-unit above. And I'm going to get into this in a lot more detail. All these things I addressed, I'm going to get into in detail later. So there's no FDA requirement on. You don't have to do anything in the laboratory to process these restorations. When you go over to this side is FDA requirement. The difference is go directly to the. Let's just say you're height. You can't use a multi-element, so you go directly to the implant. That's when the FDA puts their hands into business, into your pocket in some cases. All right. When you mill a bar, think about this. When you mill a bar, And I know that many of you do because of the time it eats up on them. But if it goes in abutments, there's no FDA requirement. None, because of that multi-unit abutment. When you go directly to the implant, it requires a 510K. Doesn't that make sense? No, I know. We'll talk about how this all breaks. Okay. Here's the other one. There are consultants out there that tell you that if you are using software, if you're involved in mill, if you're doing anything in automated manufacturing, then you need to be involved with the FDA. Okay. Under certain circumstances. So anything that you're milling in zirconia, Emax, anything that's monolithic, milling using the CAD 3 shape, XCAD doesn't matter. There is no FDA requirement when it goes to a natural abutment. A tooth, prep tooth. Knock yourselves out for it, okay? So that's why I talk to a lot of people, or a lot of labs, and they say, no, I'm small, I don't want to deal with you. I just outsource, bring it in-house. Change. You're still under that exemption 18.65I. All right. As you incorporate a type, where the world changes. That's where it requires you to have a quality system at a minimum. And believe me, I'm not dazed and confused. I haven't yet, because this doesn't make much sense, but it will before we. Okay. So mouth guards, splints, retainer that you do in a 3D environment. Use a CAD system, whatever it might be. Those are under that exemption. No requirement. As soon as you step over to the aligners, which is the same basic manufacturing process, correct? Same thing. There's FDA requirement on that, and we're going to address. So this is where the dazed and confused comes from. Is that the FDA itself, the requirements that they're putting forward, to us don't make any sense. A lot of confusion is addressed from that. So hang with me. We're going to try to address it. Okay. So let's talk how the FDA operates, and also some very important information that they came out regarding additive manufacturing. So this guidance came out in 2017. Remember 17 is a very important year for us. That's when I started my business because of the actions that took place here. But also look back at the line under it. The draft document was issued on 10th of 2016. This is how the FDA operates. Is the first thing they do is they put out a paper, a discussion paper. And that's where they request from you and the public on what are your thoughts on what the FDA should do regarding certain I have on moving forward with setting guidance. Okay, I'm still asleep, so I was struggling for that word. And then the second step was when the draft version of the decision document, and that was in again 2016 May. Then after that draft was reviewed by the industry and the citizens, and they got the information back from that, they released the final decision December 5th of 2017. How long this process takes. Again, the federal government agency doesn't move fast. They just don't move fast, which is good for us. But I want you to, on this process, because there's something I just received it in my email that we have opportunity to address, and it's going to be really important, and hang on, because it's going to be part of the presentation. But this particular guidance really covered all the information on what the FDA expects anybody who is using additive manufacturing in all appliances and all devices in the medical industry. Includes us and everybody else. The important thing about this is I want to share with you what came out of that does impact us, the important part. And this one I like. So this is a new code, Pizzi, that the FDA released. That's exciting for you, isn't it? Additive manufacturing for tooth. It's important to understand that is as we get into more and more digital dentures. In the past, it was that you still had to dent your teeth off the cards. They were 510 cleared. You get them from Myers-Sayerson, you get them from Denson. There's a lot of sources for them. If you get the full set, and you might use two teeth out, you've got a card to throw in a box and return or whatever it might be. Now you get to print those teeth in your own laboratory. Right. And this is really important because the class of the device is a class 2. I know you've heard that a lot. But this one is still 510 exempt. So unlike those denture teeth that you get on the cards, they require a 510K validation. So now you can in your laboratory. It requires an implemented quality system. All right, so you have to have a quality system to do this. But that's the end of it. Because the only requirement is the use of 510K cleared materials and CAD. That means everything that's available from this, everything is available. Where's CAD? I got a little feedback. I guess I have to stay away from my my computer. This is all great information because even orthodontic laboratory, and sometimes clients you need to apply 2 teeth, you can actually print them instead of the card. So it's great information in that regard. Okay. And the FDA, specifically the division, to understand the simplicity that the technology and what the FDA is concerned. This is the foundation to all the systems. Is what risk does it present patient? And from our side, we understand that in our profession, we don't hurt patients. We just don't do it, right? That's not anything how we ever get. We leave that to the licensed practitioners. So the next thing that came out, and I got a tremendous amount of calls from clients and guys out of the blue. They said, information in the marketplace now that if I want to do mouth guards, I have to have a 510K clearance. Okay? That's part of the misinformation I want to dispel right now. Things that I always do is, as I mentioned earlier, is if I say this is my indication, it has no weight. But when the FDA responds to a letter, which letters to them, I don't just take it off a telephone call because I can't document that. I ask a specific question what I want addressed so that I can show, and it's coming from the FDA. So I sent Michael a letter asking him about mouth guards, but not just digitally processed mouth guards. And so I incorporated that they were manufactured in the process of artificial intelligence. My clients is deeply involved forward with dental laboratories sending in scans and just uploading them. They go to the cloud, and they come back with a matter of minutes, which is awesome. And we're going to talk about AI in a minute. But here's Michael's response to this. He says, in the process you are described below, which I'm sorry, I'm not going to share that for sake of time. It appears that the lab is not developing the specifications of the device, but is matching a device per a dentist. Okay, it appears to fall under the exemption provided in Federal Regulation 807.5. You're going to hear that a lot. You fall the exemption. Those are sweet words to your ears. There are three codes for mouth guards that do require 510Ks, and this fusion comes from. One of those codes is for mouth guards are sold over the counter. So a drugstore, and you can buy. Well, the FDA wants to make sure that they roll over that, so that in-house use does not risk to the patient. One where it requires a 510K card is for a device that claims to alleviate mice. As soon as they make a claim like that, like if I say Tim's mouth guard is magic, better you grow hair, that would have to do a 510K to demonstrate that. But however you don't do anything there's no reason to do a 510K to say the guard does what it does. It sits there and it protects. It's the third one, which I didn't address, on one that solves racism. All right. So as soon as you make a claim like that, then you involve the FDA. Don't make any claims and go knock yourselves. So consequently, this is where Michael wrapped it up for us. Consequently, registration, listing, and 510K is not required for this activity by the dental laboratory. I'm assuming, and then of course, that you're using 510K cleared materials readily available, the 510K CAD, which is readily available. So this is all free. So if you had any concerns before, or if you've heard of anything regarding a mouth guard, go for it. Nothing. I just don't make any claims. I had mentioned artificial, and I didn't mention it, but it's also part of machine learning. And I went back to another letter. It just happened up with Michael, and he's a really smart guy. He has cleared one of my 510Ks, and I've actually 2 of them, and he's really in tune with what we do in our profession. So I like going to him a lot, and every time he's come back with me, he was really good at it. But I sent him a letter about mouth guard and doing AI. So who is using artificial intelligence services, where you send in a scan and within 5 or 6 minutes you get back a proposal? Nobody? You know? No? Express Crown or Express? Okay. All right. So a lot of my laboratory, especially a lot of my clients, can say they're having a really hard time with getting in their chairs. The staffing issue. I keep referring them to these services which exist for monolithic crowns, which are, and also for the mouth guards. You do the scan and you get back a proposal in a matter of minutes, which is all done in artificial intelligence. I sent this letter in specifically on artificial intelligence, and Michael came back to me and he said, this considering automated process equipment software, this software should be validated as part of the manufacturing process. Is not considered to be a medical device. So that's really important because if I go back here, we talk software as a medical device with SAE as profession begins to move deeper and deeper into artificial intelligence and machine learning. Your CAD system, ExoCAD, CAD, 3D artificial intelligence, and more of the services are coming available to you to literally very quickly get back to move immediately into manufacturing and dramatically. Allocates a single crown. Don't worry. Within soon, it's going to also incorporate a bridge, and it's going to continue and as our software part of a machine learning process, and it expands. The good news on our side is so far the FDA is staying out of our business. So this is going to be a service that is going to be available. It is available to you right now, and it's to be a software as a medical device. So no FDA requirements on side using these services. Now I'm surprised that you're not using them. I hope you're into it. Okay. Everyone talk about anybody here? What do you guys do? Am I that far off the target? Okay. So orthodontic aligners. The process as the digital mouth guards, no difference, correct? But some FDA issues. But as an industry and as a profession, this is what we get. This is a 3-shape ad, and it makes it sound so simple. Clear aligners are easy to do. 3-shape aligner studio. And the step solution is the easy way for you to add clear aligners into your lab. Time out. All right. Please understand, it's not that simple. And let me explain why. As mentioned before in my comparison of Days to Confuse slides with the mouth guards and splints and aligners, because they are devices. They're doing something. Like a mouth guard just sits there. Splints, retainers, they just sit there. They don't do anything. There's no claims related to those, as I mentioned about my mouth guards that grow hair. So this is a 510K or I'm sorry, cleared device requires a 510. And so if there are a lot of laboratories that are 510K cleared, but because they understand the process, they simply move to manufacture these. But it does contract manufacturing agreement with the 510K holder, or an R. An R&R is a label and repackaging of under the FDA's terminology for you to be able to be a dental laboratory that is distributing aligners. An R&R, a private label. Okay, that's basically what, I don't know why the FDA doesn't call it under just simple names, private label. Okay, so those are the three things that are required. Either the contract manufacturer relationship or a relabeler packager relationship with the FDA. Still, it requires that you use the K-cleared CAD, which we demonstrate readily available. That's 3Shape and Exocad both have the systems, and requires a quality system. So that's what is working with laboratory. Let me kind of explain how the contract manufacturer really works the same as what with either Airways Technologies. Anybody doing sleep appliance? Anybody else? No? Okay, you guys are just true, pure dentalists, aren't you? All right. So, if you would like to move easily into orthodontic alignment, you would come in under the private relationship agreement with the relabeler remanufacturer. How that works is you approach somebody who has the FI and is getting in these types of relationships, and you would, through a contract, you would agree with them that as soon as you get a case in, you ship it, and they do the manufacturing, or if you want to do the design house, you can do that. That's fine. They do the manufacturing, and then they put it a container that has your name on it and a label that has your name on it. So it's literally a private label. You have the opportunity then to get into the market relatively easy, but it does require registration. It does require listing, and it does require a quality system to do that. But that's the least way to get involved with orthodonters without having to spend the $35,000 that we charge for the 510. Okay. All right. I'll move on. Let me talk about all the other stuff that I hope you do in your lab. Who's doing titanium bases? Very few. Okay, more there. Okay, this is relating. Who is outsourced custom titanium abutments? Okay, you guys are alive. It's good. Thank you. For a while. How many of you are milling in-house custom abutments? Okay. 3 or 4 of you? Okay, good. All right. Dig into this. Okay. So let's talk about confusion. And a lot of confusion comes directly from the FDA. This was an article that was published in the NADL journal, the Journal of which one? Journal of Prosthetic Dentistry. This was really interesting to me when I read it, and it just validates a lot of things that the FDA itself creates confusion. Who's doing surgical guides? I'm doing this, and I was like, well, okay, good. All right, good. So this is really interesting because the NADL asked the FDA, who was Joel Anderson, and Joel he's a upper executive within the division of the FDA. And they explained to audience clearly what are the requirements when you're manufacturing surgical guides. And he said, in the case of a domestic laboratory is rendering the service on the prescription orders of a dentist, they would retain their registration exemption under 7.65I if they are using those surgical guides, medical device manufacturers per their legally marketed indication for use and device. Does that make sense? Is that clear as a bell? It's like, come on, guys. Can't you English? So regarding the surgical guides, what Joe clearly stated is in the section that the lab is exempt if they are outsourcing the guides. All right? So what's talking about in this section of his slide where they're using device managers per the legally marketed indications, which is a 510K. That's where information comes from. That's how you get that for use of device labeling. The device labeling again is established, validated with the FDA through the 510K clearance process. All right. But why did he just say that? Appreciate it if he just sort of said, yeah, use somebody who's got a file source to him. Boom. Quite a much shorter statement in his article. He may like it. I don't know. But so now that comes down to if you want to read under that exempt, then what features are you getting surgical guides from? And these parties that play with 510K cleared software that they have proprietary ownership of it, and they've got a clearance with the through the 510K. Ones that you can outsource your guides to and stay under that exemption. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, good. So that means that if you are yourself, and this important phrase I'm going to use for the first time, which is called finished device. Okay, this is where the FDA really gets involved. Is that if you as a dental laboratory are actually manufacturing a number of different devices, and so that guide, if you mill it, if you print it. First off, you design it, CAD, and then you print it, doesn't matter, and you insert the titanium, and you do all of that work. That means that you, as a dental laboratory, are the finished device manufacturer, and you fall under FDA requirement. All right. So that's what it really is. You really have to pay attention to with certain devices, and we'll get into that later. All right. So another one, John also got into appliances. These devices. He said domestic dental laboratories would retain the registration under 807.7.655I. The circumstances when they are in-housing the top portion of a blank, and when you get cleared interoperable components of the CAD workflow. This would include the fabricated abutment blank, the software, and the. We consider the component in a validated process, CAD/CAM abutment system by a dental laboratory to include as the titanium base and the superstructure top half or ceramic block. Okay. And right down to the adhesive that you use to be base to a zirconia component or whatever you use. All right. Is that clear? No. Okay. No. So here's what. All right. And I just wish again that they just use plain English. If you said, yeah, use two closed system that have 510K clearance. That's all you. Okay, we would have been in there because most laboratories are not using CAD/CAM systems of FDA cleared interoperable. They're not. Okay, so you should just say what is going on. More commonly known as closed systems, the validated through the 510K clearance process, and systems in the marketplace right that provides you that comfort of remaining the exemption, okay, and that is, and Sirona. Let's look at, for example, this is the 510K. These are indications for use from the 10K that was submitted by Straumann. It says that the Straumann K's CAD/CAM system is indicated for the use in designs and fabrication. Fabrication of simple or single or multi implant-borne prosthetics for the reason and primarily for fully or edentulous metal. Anyway, what they're saying here is a complete system, but it includes everything. So it is the software, everything from start to finish, even the materials. You have to stay within the material mentioned that were indicated for use and available to you from Straumann or Sirona. So this is a portion of the okay. And on the side, on my side, it is the Straumann. My laser isn't showing too much, and I can't read here. This is what the Straumann is in for their system, and then right next, the predicate device, as you see, is the Sirona, because the only predicate device that exists Straumann could compare itself to. I write 510Ks. Let's do it for an abutment system. I have multiple predicates I can refer to that provide the ability to do substantial equivalence to get clearance. Okay. That's the only thing that works within the dental fashion. Our dental industry is a 510K clearance. There is no FDA approval. Does not exist anything except for drugs. Just for drugs. There's no FDA solution. Doesn't exist. So when any of your representatives or consultants tell you need to be FDA certified, it doesn't exist. If anybody tells FDA approved, then that means that you're manufacturing drugs. All right? So the only thing that is appropriate in our profession, in our industry, is that you have a 510K clearance, which creates a relationship, establishes a substantial equivalence to another device. That's it. That's all we need. With regard, I'll get to dental laboratory later. Okay. All right. So this is all that's done. So it's done. So the only options they have are those two closed systems is to manufacture of titanium abutments or listen to this. This is because if you're using tie base, the FDA has very strict requirements for you. Okay. So when manufacturing processes are using a variety of different equipment, fall out from underneath that exemption. And this is the important part. Using a variety of materials, CAD systems, and matching them, which a lot of my clients all have one style, 3 or 4 style mills, then they become what the dental laboratory recognized by the FDA is the milling center, and they need to become a validated milling center. Anybody a validated milling center? Awesome. That is awesome. Thank you. So this is it's a pretty straightforward process. Okay. So they must register with the FDA and operate under a quality system. Those are the. We're going to talk about how the FDA got here very soon. So when this goes back, again, this started in 2010. This validated milling center terminology of the dental branch at the time, and in all of the 5 days that have cleared since that time abutments, and it's the bottom. I apologize for this, but all digital designed custom abutments and substructures and hybrid it must be part of our validated milling center and a preet. All right. Same thing is true for BioHorizons. This when it goes back there. It's the same thing. All digitally designed abutments and or wings, which includes the tie bases, for the BioHorizon CAD/CAM abutments are intended to a BioHorizon validated milling center. For manufacture, bio abutments are designed. That doesn't matter. So this is what everything changed. This is when I started my 2017 is when the FDA came up with this requirement. We went through all the others, and we can see that there's not much that is put upon your laboratory. We get to tie bases and blanks. So we're going to talk about what is a validated milling center. All right. Do I have to operate or outside bases to BioHorizon or one of their validated milling center become a validated milling center? So what I want to do, again, I know me very well. I know I don't have a lot of reason. I appreciate that. But so my interpretation, my opinion, carry much weight here. But I incorporated a conversation with Floyd Larson. Floyd Larson, I've known him for over 30, and Floyd is extremely active with the FDA at the where when the FDA thinks about product code. I saw very early on with Pizzi for a printed denture tooth. Floyd was meeting. It's like, okay, how are we going to structure kind of limitations to it? How much freedom do we? Floyd is really involved with the at that level. That's why I brought him in. He's the president of PaxMed and been deeply involved working between the FDA and their client. But the important thing is that PaxMed has obtained over 240 FDA clearance devices. And over 100 of them have been involved with dental implants or abutments on their own. So he's a guy I brought in, and I'm hoping that this is going to sound good.
Statement validated milling center, you notice, is in the indication statement for all of the type bases that have been cleared in 5 years. So that's something that's very important, and FDA thinking of that as a way to control where finished device is made. This is all based on this concept that FDA has that a titanium base is not a finished device. It's not an abutment. A blank obviously is a finished device, but we always said a tie base was an abutment, and until it has a superstructure put on it, it is not an abutment. And therefore, whoever manufactures the superstructure is manufacturing a medical device and must be registered with FDA as a manufacturer.
So this is where everything started to come down to people questioning it. And we think back, because the FDA took action with UCLA's. I'll talk about that in a second, but this is kind of where it all with us, and the confusion part is, okay, so the FDA says a tie base is not an abutment. Not an abutment until you guys finish it and what material you want on top of it, whether it's part of a cross-arch bridge or it's a single screwy crown, whatever. Until you do, it's not an abutment. So we asked them to explain to us, well, then how is it that we've been using UAs as an abutment for 30 years more? Why was that accepted? This one's not. And they didn't give us an answer. They said that it is. So again, it's a federal agency. You can't fight with the feds. But we and Floyd fought with them tooth and nail in this, saying that there's no difference between finished abutment like a UCLA or a multi-unit abutment, because the only thing we're doing is putting a coping on it. But we're putting zirconia. We could, it could be anything we're doing, and we're finishing it. And the FDA stuck with, and that's where we are. Okay, so it requires a CAD cab that is utilizing those two components. They're not finished abutments. All right. The blank I understand, because you can't titanium blank put it into a patient's head. It's not going to fit, right? A tie base, you can put it into the patient's head, and you can do a suck down and create a crown over the top of it and make it work. So the FDA says no. So the manufacturer of the finished device, and that's what you heard Floyd talk about it, is that the blank is not a finished device and not customized by the dental laboratory or the milling center. All right, that makes sense. But that's what the FDA's definition. So FDA registered lists the product, have a quality system as a requirement for doing tie bases. That is a pretty dramatic negative information. I'll use that word. That's not what's in my mind right now. But when my clients, or even when client or dental laboratories call me and say, I'm doing a lot of tie laboratory, and I'm outsourcing my tie blanks, custom abutments, And I'm not anything like, I do a couple surgical guides, and I don't do any sleep appliances, so I'm pretty much clear. Do I need to register with the FDA? FDA is my laboratory, potentially vulnerable to an FDA inspection and negative activities from the FDA laboratory? My answer to that is always it depends. Because every laboratory's environment is different. So I have had clients that have, they've explained to me, profile them in a laboratory, and I told them, you do not need to, you should not register, even though you're doing tie bases, right? Because there's a boundary where you are literally flying under the radar. And then there is a point where you cross the line, and then you get exposure at the FDA, and then my answer is different. So it really depends. I rely on that a lot until I really get to understand within your dental laboratory. A lot of things happen there. Okay. This is the FDA attempt to control the manufacturing through quality system, and this is completely different with the FDA. We've never seen it before, and so I asked Floyd to address that.
But isn't the actual responsibility for the type bases on the manufacturer of the five tender? Because that's where they come from, and that there's been nothing moved forward on that. So, kind of explain that out for us so well.
Well, this is where it might even take the lawyers being involved, because in general, manufacturers not enforce the label limitation. Clinicians are free to use device label under their own responsibility. But FDA right now is trying to get their arms in what is really a tenable situation, in that they thought everything could be controlled on the system by this milling concept, and they could, can down the road. It's then a review issue, quality system issue. But if manufacturers are selling those who are not registered with FDA manufacturers, then the person who's manufacturing is not, they're not following the quality system regulations, and they're not following the label of the device. We say the manufacturers are responsible, but the labs who are making finished devices, in FDA's view, are responsible as well. And FDA can take enforcement action against those as well. And I think Tim has some examples of that. FDA has flexed their muscles in this regard, but we haven't seen strong action, and that we believe is coming.
And yes, a couple of things really important in that particular change between Floyd and I. One is that I had seen action, and yes, I've gained science because the FDA had contacted a number of laboratories and started inquiring about what you're doing in your facility. And that led you, in some cases, either further investigated by the FDA, or with our guidance, they to pass off for a while. Okay. It's important to understand exactly what Floyd is talking about. So the FDA has literally taken control of these procedures in the laboratory through the quality system. That means if you are doing tie bases, you have to have a quality system. You have to register. They're trying to control it. You have to be a registered, validated milling center. The true term for it should be manufacturer. Wherever you're purchasing your tie bases from. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. I'm going to talk about that as exactly what's going on. But the way that tie base require the 510K cleared CAD, that's readily available. It's all out there. No big deal. It requires credit card approval. That's how the manufacturers, the people that you're buying your tie bases from, that's how they're controlling it. It's like, oh, your credit card cleared, you're a validated milling center. Right? You don't have, if you have a quality system, if you're registered with your registered, that's the environment that we're living under now, is that there's no such validated milling center. When we talk to those companies that we are purchasing blanks and tie bases from. So that, don't you say, rather good process between the providers, the 510K holders, and the FDA. It's incredible. So you think that one of those companies, and there's Glideweight, Mist. I mean, there's so many places you can get of those from. So any one of those 510K holders will be the first one in enforce FDA requirement. Are they really going to do it? You guys are so quiet. Exactly. It's amazing. Why are they not? Do you think they actually understand the requirement? Well, I think they do understand it. But here's the deal. And as Floyd had mentioned, is that it is not the responsibility of the manufacturer to control how their devices are being assessed. It's written in an FDA guidance. The dentist himself has the opportunity to take it and use it off-label. The dental laboratory itself is required to follow the doctor's prescription or their RX, their instructions, to meet the specifications that are provided the patient's environment for you to have to restore that. So it's all this contradiction, there's information, there's conflicting that's going on in our industry right now. Not that I want to be a news guy. See, this is why I don't get invited. Why I don't get okay. All right. So let me. But okay. So tie base lengths. It's in different questions from the FDA reviewer now for potential file holders regarding validated. And I didn't probably verbalize that appropriately. What is happening now? Because there's a couple things that happen. Yes, in my experience with the FDA. In the last 4 years, I've sat across the table or been remotely involved in 13 audits of milling center laboratories. And there's some interesting changes that are taking place there. With my submissions with 510Ks, this is what I'm having take place is that before we are given our 510 clearance to go to market, the FDA is requiring that we submit a list. That we submit a list of validated milling centers. Like, well, I don't have to have a validated milling center. I haven't got the 510K yet, so I can't sell my product. Why do I have to have validated milling centers? Because they realize they've lost control. So to paint a pretty picture, I'm just trying to be really have you look at that slide about knowledge. Okay, seeing there. All right. So the FDA is now those guys literally to provide validated milling center about what's going on. So let's talk about one of the reasons, a couple of things that happened with the FDA. My mind is very positive. In my clients' minds, it's not.
Also, I also understand that there's specification, and it's a change, it's a reorganization throughout the FDA. But now the bench has a completely different element, so they're enforcing.
Yes. The new what used to be the dental branch is now the division. Not as important is the fact that rather than being in silos with reviewers on one side and compliance somewhere, they're in the same group, and therefore to each other more closely. And this is the reason I think we're getting more of this kind of note by FDA of what's going on in the field. I'm sure that people who are complaining to that, well, how come that lab with it when I can't? And that may be the way that FDA is getting rid of labs that are manufactured devices and now starting to send. But we don't know all the means that FDA has to find those people. But the fact that they're in the same group as the reviewers means then reviewers are more sensitive to the compliance issues.
Okay. So as I understand that in English terms is the people who laboratories and the inspector in the past where they haven't had a real understanding of the business. requirements from the dental branch, now the dental division. Group is well educated, well versed, and knows exactly where to go and what for when they audited the laboratory.
Right. I think as funding is improved, they are able to staff to the extent they should in compliance. You're going to see more and more of this.
Yeah, Floyd, I really want to thank.
Okay, I thanked him for all his time. So a couple of really important points there, because I was on 13 FDA clients in the past, and I've been on audits going back many years, and in some of the early ones, and even three and a half years, we were spending a lot of time with the FDA auditors on what our business does. We really had to come through the process and say this is what we do. The case comes in, here's what the diet with it from the dentist. Here's the process we go through in manufacturing, and then it can go QC and then out the door. They did not have understanding of the business, and yet they were there to audit you. So this has changed dramatically. Is that the dental division has the opportunity in their enforcement team, those auditors come in along with their reviewers because they were in the same building, literally together. So that's in the sense that we don't have to spend the time to them on what there's to do or what we do in our manufacturing facility. That's good because for me it was really because a lot of our audits used to be 3 because we'd spend a day and a half train on what to audit, and now it's down to a day and a half. So it's a much better time spent them, and because we don't mean to them what a denture tooth is compared to what a crown is. Okay, so that was really good that they're together, right? So this should be an improvement. I think I already covered this, but they really have a good understanding of what's going on with the FDA, and unfortunately with the validated milling center really coming in and I'm going to go back a slide because now they have a true understanding. So their first questions is, are you a validated milling center? All right. Number two, one of the things that's important is the FDA only audits those laboratories that are registered. All right, and later on, I'm going to talk about should you register, should you not register if you're doing TIBIS. Okay, when you make that decision, that's important. That's number two, and then number three, that it's basically it's your perspective if this is going to be better or not having FDA inspectors dentally sound. Right? But it's going to happen, right? Because let me go back. I may finish one. Is that during COVID, when all the reviewers, auditors were kind of chained to the home, the FDA gave them an assignment on the internet. So what is they went out and they started looking at all the dental laboratories. They started reading the publications. They started reading blogs, looking at any information that was out there about laboratories. So those laboratories that expose themselves through that type of media, that is the inspectors put together a list of laboratories that initially what they did is they sent them cases, whether they were registered or not, to get more information from them on doing within their facility, manufacturing, and how they're doing it, outsourcing or doing in-house manufacturing. From that, a lot of letters went out, and a lot of clients they weren't laboratories who contacted me asking me how to respond to it. But that's how the FDA got a lot of impotence into putting out the auditors into a number of ways, and all of them registered. Okay. So the FDA has if you're a dental laboratory, you're on the list. They can come and audit you. They can audit you if you're not registered with them, but it's less likely because they don't know anything about you. Register with them with certain basic information so the understanding of what you do. But if you are marketplace greatly exposed and being that you are doing some of the things that are supposed to be registered for doing, you have to come knock on your. So this is where you have to be careful. Okay. It's going to happen. That's together. Okay, because it's going to hit the fan. And we need to be prepared for it in industry, and that's one of the reasons I got 2017 is to really make it easier for laboratories to be prepared for when the FDA, if they should ever come knock. But the 510K holders will need to with the FDA, and letters are going out to starting to appear the auditors there and checking on them, and they're asking for their validated milling center. The FDA does not need to do an audit, but the letters to the 510K holder will provide with the information they need to know who to audit. It's going to hit the fan. I have no idea when this is going to happen. The good side, I always have a little bit of sunshine on, is that when COVID came to an end, and a lot of companies did not have regulatory, they did not have them. They needed to hire them. So where do you raid? They raided the FDA. A lot of our dental division new doctors were they left the FDA and they went into the private sector. So the dental division expanded and contracted quickly. So the number of auditors that are available to the dental division is now been diminished. So there's of them. So they're going to go slower. That's all I'm saying. All right. This is when I talk about getting letters. Here is a letter I got from a manufacturer, a 510K holder who just received from the FDA, and how he approached it. He says, "Hello, Tim. I thought of you as we should increase our validated milling centers or labs to work with our products." I wonder why he thought that day. So they have to be QMS and F compliant. So that sort of thing to do on your job. Okay, fine. I got it. I wonder if we can list your customers as validated milling centers. Isn't that the easy way? Hey, Tim, just give me your customer list on ours, and then hand that list to the FDA. But this is the time when the 510K holders are being contacted by the FDA and asked validated milling centers. So that was this guy's my customer list. All right, and the which was no. Okay, anyway. All right. So it's really a time to be active and not to find yourself in a situation to be reactive. And here's why: cover your assets. It's the most important thing. Just to do with insurance. The FDA requirements are clear. 5 years now. Again, back to 2027. It is implementation quality system that can take up to 2 months. It depends upon how fast we interact or how fast the laboratory does and implement it. The registration can be completed in 7 days. So once that first dominoes and the first company take any one of them that's inspected by the FDA and slammed for not having a validated milling center, the dominoes is just going to keep going. So if you have a quality management system, and then FDA shows up at your door or sends you a letter to come to inspect you, and they say that can happen in 2 days. Okay, so you can get registered. You can be compliant, register with the FDA, and fine in 2 days, as long as you have that quality system. Address this in more detail. Let me just do that. So with a quality system implemented, your business complete compliance can be days. So how important is that? Let me talk about that. So I have a number of clients, and they are they're doing a number of different things. They're titanium abutments. They are doing on tie base. They're doing surgical guides, and exposed. They're not out there doing. They're working with a small group of dentists. They're doing a lot of advertising. No big website, and they asked the best way to work this. I said, well, CYA. The best way to say is to have a quality system implemented. That's a one-time fee. Get it done. You're operating, and actually, there's tremendous advantage in a quality management system implemented in your laboratory. Because you transparency as the owner as to what's happening and your weaknesses are. Anyway, and then you ride on the quality system, and it might be to see a dental division inspector for 6 years. Okay, when that inspector walks to your laboratory and says, "It's a quality system," and you demonstrate to them that you are FDA compliant under a quality system, their reaction to you is going to say you need to register with the FDA. That's your next step. That's what they're going to force into doing. I say that because one is you're FDA compliant because you have a quality system, but you're not 100% validated milling center, but you can still get your product from your customer, from your sources. There's no penalty for not being. There is no one goes to jail. They don't do a cease and desist. Just tell you to register. So I'll have a client call me and they call him, register us. We take care of it. Within 2 days, we get their owner operator number and they're good to go with the FDA. Okay. Here's how I give the information as an laboratory owner. The registration fee with the FDA this year is $5,586. $5,586. And that's next year is probably going to go up. In 2007, the registration is zero. Between 2007 to 2022, it increased all the way up to $586. So let's say it just stays at 5,000. Easy numbers from my brain. And you get 5 years in under your FDA compliant system, but you never see the FDA, and you don't register. All right. So on that year, they come in and say you've got to register. So you register. That's $25,000 to give to the FDA, literally for nothing, in my opinion. Okay, and that's also an editorial right there. Okay, but that's why I give that information. That you are flying under that radar where you're not out there being heavily exposed, where you're not promoting everything you do. You're not writing blogs, not doing all of that, and sets with a quality system that keeps you FDA compliant, but don't register. All right, that's really contrary information. FDA. Anybody here with the FDA? Okay, good. Because that's kind of advice against the FDA. This is the law. They have a badge of law enforcement agents. And is that those 13 audits that I've been in, and when the viewers or the auditors come in, it is job to find the smoking gun. And something every time they'll find 3. They'll consider they call deficiencies that lead to a 483 citation, which is kind of like a fix-it ticket. Anybody get a fix-it ticket from the Highway Patrol? Anybody? How come you guys are lucky? How come my life is a ticket? Is just basically saying, hey, you're out. You have to fix it within 30. We're going to come back and check on you. Okay, that's what the FDA 483 citation is for the deficiency. There's no penalty. There's nothing like you can survive that. However, cover your assets. How am I doing on time? Oh, this is awesome. So, any questions? Any comments? I've only seen a few of you walk out, so that's a good sign. All right. So, let me talk about what's legal and what's illegal. All right. So. And the FDA basically says, don't touch this. So anything, and here's what I understand, because I know. Sometimes, especially with these deep internal connections, you have to modify them. You just have to. And you can't use a non-engaging abutment, for example, but you have to use engaging, but because of the draw, whatever it might be, you can't use it. So you're just going to have modification to that connection to make it work. The patient is almost unrestorable, right? So do it, but document that did it. Okay, but this is illegal. You do this all day long. You can abutments in-house, compliant quality system, implementing all the maintenance that you do, and everything. Here's the thing about a quality system. I should have said this earlier. Is everything doing in your laboratories is covered % of a quality system. You're already doing it. You're already doing it. You're calibrating your scanners. You're doing the appropriate maintenance on you're changing out your and your string ovens, the heating elements. I'm waking. So this is the kind of stuff that you're doing. What the difference is you're not documenting it, and that's the huge difference. That's what we do is we provide documents to do that and make it simple. Okay. And this is what is illegal. And so if you see anybody, and there were sales that were telling people, oh, you can go ahead and take a dice, you do a 98 millimeter disc, and you can mill a complete custom abutment out of it. The connection and the whole thing is completely legal. No, we got one major. Remember CM Golden, Colorado? Remember them? They're gone. This is why. This is how they were operating. And so they were milling all their titanium custom abutments, disc of zirconia, the whole thing. And the FDA walked in and said, "Holy cow!" That's not what they said, but that's what I can say. And shut them, and they just disappeared. There's another laboratory, which this is more like an FDA inspector who was it was a smaller operation that was milling thing, and the inspector came in and said, "You have to stop right now, cease and desist." But what the inspector did is he stayed with them and showed them how to reconfigure machines to do blanks, because then they would be legal and stay in business. That's the auditor I want, right? But that's the true FDA. Anyway, so this is one. And then, of course, the 510K. Would you give me 1 minute change? Because I'm not going to Q&A quite yet. Because an opportunity has come up for us. I know this looks the same. I'm not going to go through all these slides. I'm going to go through the most important one. So do you remember that where I was talking about that slide that talked about the FDA decision on additive manufacturing? Correct? Okay. This is something I got in the email. I got just a couple of days ago. A couple of weeks ago. I just finally got a chance to read days ago. But this is really important because there's a couple of things that really both our laboratories or as dental laboratories. This is going to address it. So about the process, where the first thing is a request from the FDA to get information from you. Then from that information they create their draft. They give you an opportunity to comment on their draft before they come in with the final. So the process has just started. So this is a 3D medical device at care, all right? And they're opening up a discussion. So this is an opportunity for you to give your input on this at point of. This also had a conversation with the FDA regarding this on subtractive manufacturing. All right, so milling. And they finally are coming around to say, maybe we shouldn't be allowing dental practices to doing everything in without having standing that they have the appropriately trained expertise in the facility. So this is just open. Okay. The discussion paper, they are in, of course, the FDA. But it's all about the point of care and health facilities. Healthcare facilities is really broad definition of any hospital, clinic, and it gets right into a individual practice, dental office, an ortho office, anywhere where the patient care. I'm going ahead here, so bear with me because I don't want you to go through all of me. Here's some of the things that they're concerned about is they're assuring control of the devices in 3D printing, clarifying the responsibility of the entity. That has been really nebulous. Like how come a dentist do a lot of things an orthodontist can do in their practice, and there really hasn't been true responsibility put upon it under appropriate controls, and then the training and the capabilities. So here we go. What I want to talk about. So within this discussion paper, and I'm going to give it to the ortho organization and to Dental Laboratory Association of Texas to distribute this, because you're going to want to read it and you're going to want to comment on it to FDA, because the F is questioning their decision to allow small practices to do more of this stuff in their offices. When I was a lab, I was always really upset. A lot of doctors that would send me, they would repair this. I didn't make this. I can tell you made it. Well, I'm not going to repair this for free. Anyway, I'm digressing. So discussion point. Okay. So what challenge would a manufacturer of a device production systems, okay, face in being generally responsible for FDA requirements of device treated by a healthcare facility at the point of care using the medical device production? Does the post-processing make a difference in these challenges, and if so, how? Okay, you get all that? So this is FDA language. So the actual, and this is one of the things, as a dental laboratory, the FDA said, you can go ahead and use any printer because you are an X. This is what you do every day. We really want you to make that decision. When they start looking at these healthcare facilities, especially at the practice, does that individual have the ability to make the appropriate decision on the printer or the piece of equipment they incorporate to their practice? So why is that? Because what I know is a lot of really cheap printers out there that end up in dental practices. They aren't reliable. They aren't accurate. Is a dentist driven by price? Come on, right? Come on, you can talk to me. So this is what the FDA is starting to question. Well, is it the responsibility of the manufacturer of the actual device to make sure that whoever purchases in them is their responsibility, or is it going to be the healthcare facility that is doing the manufacturing, the point of care, and then what about post-production procedures? Because we know that's a very important part of operations. Do they understand it? So the FDA is starting to question, not only on additive manufacturing, but also on active manufacturing. So the second that they pose within this document that they'd let you is this point of care 3D printing facilities in a healthcare facility may need to conduct certain activities after using the production system. All right, such as heat treatments and so forth. Because of the QS regulation would require the manufacturer's verification and validation of the MSP. Some aspects of the QS regulation may be satisfied. Are these of the quality system regulation that may not be covered by the medical device production system manufacturers and validation. So now the question is that as we go through processes where everything that you use in the dental lab is 510 tiered when it gets into the patient's head. And that goes down to the resins that you use in your printer. That goes down obviously zirconia you use in your mills. Everything that you're touching, because of what you do, you know that you use five-tiered materials and components. Do they understand? Have you had a dentist send you for a dental laboratory? It's like, where did this come? Right? All the time, it's like, I can't do this. I don't know if this came from Afghanistan or something. And there's no label on it recognizable. I can't use this information that we're going to create for you. So they got upset about that, which is fine. I can't put that liability on us. So in some cases, some of these particular practitioners completely up to speed on all aspects that the FDA requires. Okay? Here's the important point. The FDA is questioning it again. Right? The third one and the fourth one, are there any post-processing activities that should not be undertaken by the healthcare fee? If so, why should the printed devices be that require certain levels of post-processing only be a what? Traditional manufacturer. That's you guys. But what they're doing in their practice be done by laboratories. What's your answer? Oh, hell yeah, yeah. Right? So not but of the practice. There, why not? Okay. Because I know that a lot of times when I was interacting with, I guess from dentists, like, what do I? I want to buy this. What is the FDA requirements on me? So who's your staff? I got a dental assistant who's really good. She finds. Is that really? You know, okay. Right? And then who's going to do the cleaning of? Oh, I've got an office manager who's really good. Cleans the office, and I'll make sure she does that. Gosh. All right. The FDA started questioning this stuff finally. All right. 4. How could the medical device productions to 3D print devices at the point of care fit into FDA existing adverse event report system under C3? All right. For user facilities and manufacturers, considering that the user facilities may be conducting activities that could be considered manufacturing. When can a dental laboratory, when can a dentist or a orthodontist have to be considered as a manufacturer? That changes their world. What are they doing? The FDA has just let this happen. Oh, we don't do that. Back into that. But now that the sophistication of the manufacturer, both in additive and subtractive, has gotten to the where it is yes, more sophisticated, but it's kind of become more available, and some of our industry potential clients, are thinking that they can all of that and just bring it in-house, and they can eliminate. So yeah, there's Eric out there, and I understand that. Those have the dentist was all excited and ended up to be a dust collecting in the back of the room. That's the way it went. Over their head, they realized that. But now the FDA is thinking about it. So why am I covering this? This is because I really want you to get this document. I'm going to ask you to participate, audience participation here. On the last page, I think I have it here. Yes, it gives you all the information that you need within the minute on how to respond, what the questions, and they open it up and say, hey, if you just have any opinion, we'd love to hear it. So feel free to give us any of your opinions and the issue. Okay? So this is for us to finally get a word into the EA, who has made a decision that they do regulate the practice of dentist medicine or orthodontics. They've been out of it. They're questioning that, right? Does anybody else give an opinion? No? No? Okay, fine. All right. So with that, I think I'm done. Let me go all the way down to the bottom. Whoops. There you go. All right. So with that, thank you very much. And are there any questions that you like at this point in time? Of course, I'm here for days, or actually till tomorrow. Are there any questions, please? No. Okay, that's a great question. Okay, so the question was by submitting something to the FDA regarding that paper, does that put you on a list or on the radar? And the answer is no, because one of the things, put your name on it, but those to a division responsible for managing that information, and they all the information and they put it into a piling of data, and your name is moved off that. Your laboratory name is completely removed off that. Yes, this is one. Yeah, and yes, this will not lead to them to want to know who you are. Okay, but for me, this is an important point because as a laboratory, most times in my life, I always observe dentists are bringing in and procedures as always. I thought bad idea. So I got to be careful what I say. But yeah, so please, anything that you do send this in, use your wife's or husband's name, or use a name. But it's more interested in the information. You got a competitive lab down the street? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So no, the that you provide them being a submitter does not end up with the dental division. Okay. Are there any other questions? Nothing? Okay. All right. So do that good of a job to explain everything? Okay. Thank you. There's one I forgot to mention. So this won't take an hour. Okay. I saw a couple of people taking pictures. If you want this deck, I'll be happy to send it. So that is my email address right there. My cell phone. It's at my side. If you want a copy of these slides, please let me know, and I will send it to you. I'll send you the whole thing. Okay. Then you have the information. All right. And then with that, I want to thank you for your time. I'm sorry, I had to be disappointed to find out that Peter was going to be here, and then you get a story guy. He's better looking, yeah. You didn't have to say that. But I was disappointed because I got a call last night late, and it says, "What are you doing in the?" It's like sleeping. Like, you're on, baby. So. Anyway, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be around. Comments, whatever. So I appreciate your time.
Exhibit hall's open if y'all want to start going until 10:30 for the next class. No, you're fine.
Good. They were. Look at fruit on.
You're covered in tomatoes.
Exactly. Well.
Very good.
I know they're disappointed, but. Because Peter, he was such a great draw. He's such a great presenter.
Yeah, there's a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, for certain. Yeah. All right, well, thank you.